Hey, women of Why She Adventures. It's Senka here, creator of Why She Adventures. And today I have the ever beautiful Julie Brown. Hey, Julie.
Hey, how are you going?
I'm awesome. How are you?
I'm good. A little bit
Fabulous.
excited.
Me too. We have so much to catch up on. So for all of you ladies that are tuning in, welcome to the Why She Adventures conversation series. Conversations dedicated to inspiring more women to get out and do cool shit around New Zealand. Why? Because New Zealand is freaking epic and there is so much cool shit to see. And we have so many amazing women just like Julie who are getting out there and doing it. So I'm super pumped to have a conversation with you and talk all things adventuring around New Zealand. Yay!
Awesome. Yay!
So a little bit of backstory for anyone who hasn't met Julie. So in fact, just a little off the script, Julie and I have been friends for a few years now, I would say at the very least. And I was lucky enough to meet Julie when she used to come to my adventures with Adventure Girls. And that's how we actually connected together. And then over the last few years, we've probably become more like friends, I would say.
Absolutely.
In fact, I always call them my adventure besties. They're my besties up in Auckland. So it's really awesome to have you here, Julie, to talk about your story. I know I had to kind of go, can we share your story? Because it's you're like, me, just me. I'm like, but I see what you do and I see how inspiring you are. And that's why I was like, your story needs to be shared because there'll be women out there that will see you, see what you have done and what you're doing and be like, well, fuck, if Julie can do it, then so can I.
Absolutely they can, because I was thinking exactly the same. What on earth do I have to offer? But I'm just you're pretty regular everyday girl, so I guess that's where I'm coming from. So exactly, if I can do it, anyone can.
Yeah, 100%. And that's what's so great about this conversation series is that it's like, the reason I'm talking to women like you is it's because it's women like you that inspire others. You don't have to be a world-class athlete to be inspiring to people. I think everybody needs people that they can connect to on different levels and go, gosh, I connect with her story and I connect with what she's done. So like, you know, if she can, I can. So yeah. So here's a little bio about Julie for all you lovely ladies who finally get to meet her because she's so amazing. So at 35, if you told her that she'd be hiking mountains, crossing cascades, we'll come to that story, and doing the odd adventure race, she would have told you that you're nuts and to pass her the Tim Tams.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And although her love of the outdoors and trying new things came later in life, and yes, it does begin at 47 apparently, that's exactly what she's doing now, and she can't get enough of it. So if you're going to suggest a hike or a trek or a bike ride or going to a hut or anything in there, I can tell you that she will be there with bells on.
Absolutely will be.
So yeah, like I said, we met through the Why She Adventures, what was the Adventure Girls Network, now is the Why She Adventures, and I didn't know your full backstory until probably even a while into you coming to our adventures, and I only just recently, for the first time ever, saw a picture of what you were telling us how you used to be. And I had never connected the dots, like to the really big shift. And I think I mentioned when you shared that picture, I was like, what an amazing representation of who you are now for the internal changes that you've made to be where you are right now. And that's why I was like, I feel like what what we'll talk about and what falls out of today's conversation will be really great. So do you want to share with the ladies what picture you shared with me, or where your journey even started with getting into adventures? Like you said, came later in life. Like, you haven't been into adventures since you were knee high to a grasshopper.
No, and as a kid, I didn't do a lot of adventuring of any type. I mean, I was a swimmer. I used to swim, which was really cool, but that's probably where it ended. And then I started eating, which was a favourite hobby and pastime, and I did that an awful lot. And my real adventuring didn't start until, 47 at the end of a relationship breakup. But my journey to get there was a part of a fitness and getting healthy journey as well, because I was a 146 kilo girl back when I was 35, and I was eating all the Tim Tams. So it wouldn't have just been pass me the Tim Tam, it would have been pass me the whole packet and let's open another one, because I'd already eaten it. Or I was the girl who would buy Easter eggs for her kids and eat them and then have to buy more and do that 2 or 3 times. And I got to a very unhappy, unhealthy weight, and 146 kilos. And I decided, after actually seeing that picture and a video of me at one of my son's rugby games, that I just had to do something about it. Had an incredibly supportive family, and my sister and my mum encouraged me to go to a program with them. Don't know if I can say names on here, but
we're sharing.
Yeah.
So
it was just Weight Watchers. Yeah. And it took me a year to lose that weight, and I just got out the door and started walking, and that's probably where my love of walking started, and I've never stopped, but it's progressed. And you go forward all those years, and at 47 I had that breakup. I thought I was going to be with this gentleman forever and all of those sorts of things, and I was doing everything I could for him, and I actually lost myself. I didn't know who I was. I didn't know what I enjoyed. The breakup came along, and I remembered one of the things he said to me is, because I'd expressed an interest to try stand-up paddleboarding, and he said, "You won't like it, don't bother doing it. No, we're not going to go out." And I was like, okay, I won't like it, so I just won't ever give it a go. So the very first thing I did was I searched for somebody who could take me stand-up paddleboarding, and I was fortunate enough to come across you, and I gave stand-up paddleboarding a go, and it was fabulous. I got up, I enjoyed it, I did yoga of sorts on it. Probably very, I wasn't a delicate little thing trying to do yoga on there. It wasn't very graceful, but I did it, and I did the stand-up paddleboarding. I thought, man, I can do this, and I can get on with my life. And I just started discovering who I was and what my passions were, and I just wanted to try everything. So I went from that unhealthy girl sitting on the couch, that unhealthy woman who had lost herself totally in a relationship, to just emerging and starting to enjoy my life. And it was all about getting outside and trying new things. And that's what I'm continuing to do.
I had no idea, even as friends for as long as we've been now, I had no idea that we being the Adventure Girl stuff was that kind of like window into kind of reclaiming and rediscovering who you were all along, that had just been maybe hiding out for a little bit.
When I had that breakup, I actually went and saw a counsellor, and she said, you know what, Julie, he didn't break up with you because who were you even? You didn't even know who you were. So true. But now I'm pretty comfortable and confident. I know who I am.
Yeah, that's amazing. Oh my gosh, I love it so much. I that just makes me even more impressed and more inspired and more stoked to have have the friendship that we have. So so I'd love to know though, how was it for you, making that decision to do that? Because I think one of the things over all the years of running adventures with Adventure Girls, just even my own internal story, is, when there's that thing that you want to do, what got you over what got you to actually book and show up? Because that's, I think, is often the hardest part of doing something new. Even myself, there's still stuff that I want to try, but I can feel my own self-talk coming in to go, oh, you'll be the slowest person there, you'll be all this, da 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 da. So what was it for you that made you go, you know what, fuck this, I'm gonna go do it? What was the real sort of...
I just had to do it. I had to learn about myself, and I had to get out there and start having a life for me. The booking part was the easiest part of it. The getting there was difficult. I backed out 50 times in my brain. It was, I'm going to be the fattest girl there, because I've still got that image in my brain. It's going to be the fattest girl there. I'm not going to be able to stand up. I'll fall in. What are people going to think about me? This is the stupidest idea I've ever had in my entire life. So everything, all of that negative self-talk, and then I just decided I just have to get there. And as soon as I drove down and I parked, knew I had to get out of my car. So I got out of the car. So it was actually just step by step. Yeah, and when I got there and I started talking to the ladies who were there and with you, and everyone was friendly, I felt like I'm not going to be judged. I've just got to give it a go, and no one's expecting anything of me other than just giving it a crack.
Yeah. What expectations do you think you placed on yourself for that sort of stuff? Because that's a really interesting, like just an interesting set of language, you know, like no one's expecting anything of you. So then if no one's expecting anything of you, what were you expecting of yourself?
Oh, I was expecting that I had to get up and I had to do it. And probably part of me, I have to enjoy this. I have to prove that it's wrong. You know, so there's all of that on there. I don't want him to be right. And at the end of the day, he wasn't even, when I was out on the water and I was on the board and I was doing it, he didn't factor at all. It was really just about me. It was about the group of women that I was with. I was feeling comfortable. Yeah, so that's what it ended up being about.
Did you get any shifts for yourself within like doing that, like finally doing something that you wanted to try?
I just wanted me to do more. And I think the beauty of going out with a group of women was that I didn't feel like somebody was just looking at my body, and I didn't have to perform a certain way. I actually could just be me. I didn't have to look pretty. I didn't have to have my hair done. I didn't have to have, you know, makeup on. How I felt I needed to look around guys, I guess, and so I could just come along and just be me, and it just made me want to do more and more and more and try things that I never thought in a million years I'd try at 47, which is when I started.
That's incredible. So for anyone who's watching this who thinks that they are too old to start adventuring, we're going to call bullshit on it. Because
absolutely,
it is just a number, right? So
absolutely it is. I mean, I'm almost that other number now.
50.
50.
And looking fabulous.
Great lighting. I want to point out, thank you so much for having me on this when we've been in lockdown. The greys are coming through. I haven't had a colour.
Totally welcome. I've got you, girl.
I can't see my eyebrows to pluck them, so it's just fabulous. I think
you're welcome. Hashtag keeping it real, ladies.
Absolutely. But no, age just shouldn't be a barrier. You've just got to go and do what you love and just walk out your front door and just start.
That's actually so true, I guess, given your love for walking, and like even just saying that like walk out your front door, like it makes me connect the dots so much more to, you know, why you love walking. So when Julie and I go walking, she's like the uphill powerhouse. So I'm struggling to keep up with her when we're going up the uphills, and she just like powers on ahead, and I'm like, I'll be up in a second. Thanks for waiting, ladies.
And then downhill's where I get a little bit slower, because I'm a little bit of a chicken when it comes to heights and downhill. So yeah, you're like this gazelle and I'm just sort of like, ooh, running along.
We've all got our strengths, right?
We do.
So some of this cool stuff that you've done, like in the, well, let's say the last 3 years, because it's not actually a really big window. And I, like I said, you know, even in this conversation, I'm finding out more about your backstory. Is I thought you had been doing some stuff before you came and hung out with us at Adventure Girl. So it really is a very short window for having done all the things I know that you've done. So what are some of the other amazing things that you've done that you were like, I don't think I could ever do that, and then you've gone and done it? What are some of those other things?
So many. I would say surfing, but I didn't really do that on that day. I sort of got on the board and fell off, but I did give that a go. So that's off my bucket list, and I probably won't do it again, to be fair, because it's not my passion, but I'm really pleased I did it. I went canyoning, and I'm scared of heights and small spaces. So that was a real biggie for me, jumping off a great big rock and then going through little small spaces. Part of the small spaces thing was that I thought I was probably this wide and I would get sort of stuck like there and I would never get out. But I got out and I jumped off a great big high rock. So I know I can do it now, and I could do that again. I really enjoyed that. What else have I done?
How did it feel? How did it feel doing that? How did it feel doing the jump? Because it's reasonable and it's scary.
We had the guy standing there, and I can just remember this. He was standing there and he was going to help you up to the edge of the rock so you could go over. And he sort of asked me to come up, and I just sort of flew past him and jumped off, because it was like, no, there's no standing here. I've just got to go and do it. So I think he was a little bit shocked, and and all of that. I forgot to plug my nose and all of that sort of stuff. So, there's a bit of coughing and spluttering, but it was like, woohoo, I fucking did it.
It's such a rush, isn't it? Because, that was one of our adventures. When we did the Spirited Women's Adventure Race here in the South Island, they always have a mystery activity. And the mystery activity they had for the South Island here was a jump off a rock face.
Right.
And because we've done the canyoning trip before, I'm the same, very much the same as you, Julie. I really have to really push myself to do the jumps and really get my mindset like dialed in, because otherwise I can really easily talk myself out of it. And the first time, in fact, we did the canyoning, I didn't do the jump. I couldn't do the second big jump. Like, I just didn't have it in me. So when we went back and did it the second time, I was like you, I was like, okay, I've got to do this. I can't overthink it. Just do it. He says it's safe. Everyone else has done it. Follow his instructions. You're good. And then so when we went into the Spirited Women's Adventure Race, and we had a jump, and it was 5 meters from our feet. So from our head, it would have been closer to 7 meters. So, and if you jump up higher, it's probably higher than that. And we did the same thing. I got to the edge and I looked over and I was like, I can't stand and look at the edge. I'm going to wait until it's our turn. And then I'm like, and then I'm up, and then we're counting and we're jumping. And there's the photo of me. Oh my gosh. The photo of me explained exactly how I felt. My face looked like I was crying the entire way down. I'm like holding on to the thing, and I'm just like, my face looks petrified. So they've got these photos of the Spirited Women's Adventure Race, and I look like I'm about to burst into tears halfway down. So I was like, that's my memory of doing that jump, but I did it. So
you did do it.
Yeah. So I totally get what it's like when you're sort of on the edge of, exhilaration and fear. Like, it's just this oscillation, right? Of like, this is really great. Oh, what the fuck am I doing? This is really great. What the fuck am I doing?
You got to feed off that fear though as well. And so often, in my past, if I was fearful of something, I just wouldn't do it. But now I use that fear to move me forward.
Yeah.
And we've had some little adventures that I've had to use that as well. I'm sure we'll talk about that one in particular at some point as well.
Yeah.
But the other adventures I've done, Tongariro Crossing, did that the first time I did that was last year.
Because you've done it twice.
Yeah.
Now.
So I did it last year.
Yep.
And I burst into tears at the bottom of the Devil's Staircase because I didn't think I was going to be able to do it, and I hyperventilated. You helped me with that one. You taught me through it, and I managed to get through it. And then did it again this year and just nailed that staircase. I'd done all the prep work for it, knew it was going to be there, and got to the top of it, and, end of story. It was just like, wow, what on earth was I ever worried about for that? I did have another little cry a little bit later on though, because this time we could see the shale and the hills and the drop-offs. So I had a little bit of a meltdown there. But I'll do it a third time because I want to nail that as well. So
cool. I would love to talk more about that, because it's like, it's so easy to kind of go because the opportunity presented itself to you to come a second time. Like, you did it the first time, and you had your challenge at the Devil's Staircase, which I think has gotten a lot of people a lot of the time because there's, you know, a lot of stories going on. So what created the tears? And then my second question is, if you went through that, why the hell did you go back again a second time?
I'm an idiot. What created the tears? Just self-doubt, whether I could do it or not. I was starting to feel a little bit puffed. I wasn't expecting that because I felt like I was really fit. And in my past, I've suffered with panic attacks before as well. I had a really bad stint actually not long before I lost weight, I had a really bad stint of about a year of panic attacks. And so any alteration in breathing used to make me feel a little bit uncomfortable. And so because I got short of breath, it brought back all of that. I was like, oh my God, I'm going to have a panic attack. And then you start having a bloody panic attack because you think you're going to have one. So it was a little bit of that. And so I was talked down from that basically, and just little steps. Let's take little steps. And that got me through that. And why did I go back? I was expecting some beautiful scenery. I was expecting to see these beautiful green emerald lakes and just the mountains in it to be picturesque and have these really awesome photos. The weather picked up. There were 120k winds at the top. We were holding on to each other so we didn't fall off basically. I think there were 4 airlifts that day of people being taken off the mountain. Our guide was shoving us on while she was helping other people. And the one thing that I loved about that, every time she caught up to us, she said, I knew I was getting close to you because I could hear the laughter. And we were still having a really good time. So I went back the second time to prove I could do Devil's Staircase, to see the beautiful scenery, because I thought, how could it possibly happen again that the weather would pack in and we'd get that kind of wind again? Lo and behold, it kind of did. Not so bad, but we did get to see some scenery. But yeah, it was just pushing myself, and I never used to push myself to get better at doing things. It would be an almost like, knew I couldn't do it, so won't try that again. But now it's like, okay, I didn't do that bit, but man, I'm going to give it a really good go to overcome that and do it next time.
What do you think's changed for you to have that's a really big shift to kind of go and, you know, previously go and do something and then just go, oh, you know, whatever you say, and now it's like, actually, you know what, I'm going to go back a second time, and you've already now like, I'm going back a third time, and I'm going to hold you to that because we're going to do a little bit of trail running, I think, along.
Oh, we are
on the
too.
next one. Yes, we are.
Yeah. It's a shift in your mind, and you really have to have that, and it's a determination. I want to live my life. I want to have a really good life and experience a lot of things, and if I keep on saying I can't, I'm never going to. So it has to be now. I can, I will, and I do. So
nice.
a lot of positive. You have to be positive, and I have to be positive, because it's really easy to go a little bit dark if you fail at something. So you have to just reframe it all, and that's what I've learned. And probably with age, for me, that's a great thing about age. I'm learning as I get older, and I look back at my experiences and I've learned from them. So yeah, I'm in a really good place with that.
I love it. That's so amazing.
Who knew?
Who knew?
Who
See,
knew?
with age comes wisdom, and with experience and experiencing those adventures and experiencing those successes and failures and lessons, that's what kind of feeds you for the next thing. You go do an adventure, you think, I didn't get up those stairs the way that I want, so what do? You go and train, right? And then
Absolutely.
you go back and you do it. So, and it's interesting that you talk about with that Tongariro Crossing one is the previous year, because I think I'm on 4 trips now with it. And the first year I did it was clear, and I was the fittest I'd probably been in a really long time, and I found it actually quite easy to do. And then I went and did it I think the third time I went and did it, I'd come back, I'd gotten really sick, not trained, and I went and did it, and I was in the hurt box the entire time. I was just like, internal conversation and internal beating up was on overdrive. And from that, I was like, I'm going back this next trip and I'm freaking nailing the devil's staircase. I'm going to own it and I'm going to get to the end and I'm going to feel really good at the end of this trip. So I trained for it. And the devil's staircase, we got to the top and it was because it was, on the walk we did, and it was quite sort of misty. So you couldn't see the top. And I was like, we're at the top. When did that happen?
It was amazing. I think I might have had a little cry then because, as we both know, I'm a bit of a crier.
So we call it releasing the old energy.
It is.
Oh, that's awesome. And so we've gone on to have some really amazing adventures and some very challenging adventures, haven't we?
We have indeed.
We have been alluding to a trip that we took together, and I'm excited to talk about it because there's so much going on for the two of us for this trip. In fact, it was after our last Tongariro trip that we did together. So Mangaturu Turu Hut.
I'm glad you said that because I was trying to remember how to say it, and for the life of me, I couldn't.
Oh, it was such a great trip. So after our last Tongariro crossing, we did, Julie was able to stay on for a couple of days. So we were like, well, seeing as we're in the region, we'll go and find we'll just go find a nice hut to go and stay at, because you hadn't done much hutting. I'm just starting to get into it. So I was keen to, build up some more reference and experience for what do I need to pack, what do I need to take, and all that kind of stuff. So we spoke to our guide, and she recommended, we suggested we were going to go do one. She recommended doing Mangaturuturu, and we were like, cool, well, it's what? Oh, looked it up, did the research. It's an hour and a half in, chatted to somebody. They said there's some cascades, but you're fine, you just cross those. And the hut's beautiful. And the hut is beautiful.
Hut was stunning. Hut was stunning.
Do you want to tell them how the walk started?
We
off the car park?
we parked, got out, and just got blown off the side of the mountain. And I thought, oh yeah, I don't know about this. And then where's the path? And it looks like you just go around the side of the barrier and it's straight off. Well, that's what I was seeing. And we started the walk, and then there was a slip. And so I thought, I'm never going to cross that because it was like this narrow. And I thought I was going to fall to the bottom. We didn't. And we started this walk, and it was absolutely fantastic, the first part. It was raining, but it wasn't too bad. It was okay. And then we got to a section that I remember, and I thought, don't see the marker. And I can't see, I think there's an edge there and I can't see, so I'm not quite sure. I think this is going to be too high, Senka. And Senka's like, no, well, I'll just go and I'll check it out. No, it's okay. Come on, we can do this. I get there, and it's like this, to me, this down a rock face, had to slide down on our bottoms. Did I cry then? I'm not sure if I cried on that part. I was very, very scared.
Yeah.
I was very scared.
Yeah, just talk us through like what was going on for you at that time, because I remember seeing us having we crossed 2 cascades, and then I was like, is that the marker? And I was like, went over to the edge and I looked and I went, oh, that's a little steeper than I expected. And I remember you Julie going, what's it like? And I went, right.
I think I said, no, Senka, I can't do it. I I think I said that a lot. I was shitting myself pretty much internally. It was like, no, I can't do this. And I did have that little bit of thing. I was like, oh no, Senka's going to think I'm a dick if I can't do it. I'm going to think I'm a dick if I can't do it. I'm going to be really disappointed in myself if I can't do it.
Can't or don't?
Can't. Yeah, can't do it. Because even though you get to a certain place where you go and you do things and you try them, you can't help but have those thoughts come back to you because it's been in part of your life for such a long time, right? So you still just have to overcome that. And sometimes you can't overcome it by yourself, and you need that other person who's offering you that encouragement, because you can't do everything by yourself. You do need support from other people. And that's where you came in, because you were talking to me positively. No, well, let's just try this. Let's just do this a little bit. Let's turn around and go down on our bums. Okay, I can do that. I'm looking forward. I can do that. Because I thought with my backpack on, I was just going to go like that off the side of what I thought was a mountain. A little bit of a mountain, but not the mountain.
It was steep. It wasn't a rolling hill. It was definitely an extension on anything that we had done before.
Yeah. And the cascades, we had been told, would be, oh yeah, they'll be a little bit higher, but you'll be able to cross them no problem. But they were running pretty quick, and we had to be pretty careful where we crossed as well. So that was interesting, but that didn't frighten me as much as going down that rock face. And then the whole idea of having to do it the next day to get out, to climb up it, was a little bit of a challenge that I worried about. Probably not so much as me trying to put the little cooker together. We did come through this clearing, and the hut was there, and I've got to say it was outstanding. It was absolutely fantastic, and it was just the two of us. And we managed to get, well, you managed to get the fire going, and we hung all of our stuff up, got dry, we got our dinner, and all of that was really cool. But before that, I was in charge of putting the little cooker together, which I've never done in my life, and it's literally one of those little 3-pronged things, and you screw it into the gas cylinder. I'm not quite sure how I did it, but I pushed it in and it started spewing out this smoke, and Senka's there, and I'm going, oh my God, I don't know what to do. So I threw it at you, this little missile. And you saved the day. Thank you.
What was the lesson, Julie? Make sure the valve is closed.
Yeah, make sure the valve is closed. Well, who knew? And maybe give it a crank before you go away, and use these things. Maybe do a little bit of research.
But that's the whole adventure of it, right? Is like,
oh yeah,
no one got hurt. We were able to contain the situation quite quickly, and it's like I learned as well. Okay, no, you're going to make sure that's closed before you put the gas on the bottom and give it a crank, because otherwise and you kind of got to do it all together. So,
and don't let Julie near gas appliances or the fireplace.
Well, there's just so many lessons that come from like doing those new adventures together. Even for me, for like, what do we pack? What do we take? Have we got enough? Have we got the right food? All of that sort of stuff.
Well, luckily we had enough food, because both of us like to snack, so we had heaps of food.
Yeah, that's never a problem.
But even that night, just you didn't know whether we were going to get out the next day, and you voiced that concern, and then I started thinking, oh my God, are we going to get out the next day? And I thought, oh, maybe some helicopter pilots will come and save us. Hoping.
Yeah, I think what drove that was the fact that we had to climb the rock face again, and then cross the 2 cascades, and it was pouring down all night. So given we didn't know the area, my biggest concern was that we had to go up that rock face, which I knew Julie wasn't super pumped about, and then I was really worried that we'd get to the top of that, then we'd get to the cascades, and potentially they were flowing faster than either of us felt comfortable crossing, and then in which case we would have to turn around and go back to the hut until we felt comfortable, which meant Julie would have to go down the rock face again. So it's just kind of like that little bit of not worry, but just trying to plan. And then I didn't sleep amazingly that night, even though the hut itself, if you ever get the chance to go there, like that is probably, I think it's such an amazing hut. One, they have solar panels, so you have power. So you just press a button, you've got power, it's on a timer and it switches off. The hut itself is decked out really nicely. It's got a long drop out the side, and amazing hut. Loved it.
It was a fantastic hut. Yeah, absolutely beautiful, and the best experience for me for my first ever hut visit. We had
the whole thing to ourselves.
Yeah, it's a great story. Getting up other side, you know, getting back up that rock face was really challenging. That was even more challenging than going down, and I'm quite surprised because I was starting to feel a little bit confident that I could go up that rock face. I knew there'd be handholds and I could do it, but I froze like a limpet to the side at one point. I don't think I was even very far up. I thought again that my backpack was going to drag me off, and I just froze. And then you took the backpack off of me and pushed that up and carried your own so that I could get up there. And yeah, I don't know that I'll ever go and do that rock face again just to prove that I can do it. I'd probably like to at some point.
Yeah.
But that was a huge challenge, and yeah, I'm not sure I could have done it with the backpack on.
Yeah.
I don't know that I would have got him moving, but it was another situation where you were talking me through that, but then I actually had to get up the courage to move.
100%.
That's where I had to use that fear and use the adrenaline that was coming from that to get up. And it was like, no, let's just go. We've just got to go and get up. And yeah, there were a few tears when we got to the top of that as well.
Yeah. I actually distinctly remember the moment you committed to climbing up that rock face. Like we were a third of the way up, and it was like, you know, I had your backpack. And it's like, and it's funny because there's so many parts to this that are like, from a learning perspective, it's like you really have to dig in as a team. So as a unit, we had to like dig in and get through that together, because there are other options, but there wasn't another option. We had to get out. And I don't think at any point we were actually we weren't in, for anyone who's watching this thinking, gosh, you girls were way out of your limit. We weren't in any real danger. It wasn't undoable. It was just scarier than you had expected. And it's like, I feel like we had to come together as a team. And it's like, well, you couldn't climb up with your pack. So it's like, well, I can take that, because I felt comfortable enough on the rock face. And then it's like, but I remember the moment you decided, because we were paused up, and you're like, my legs are shaking, Senka. That would have been all the adrenaline charging through your system. I'm like, what do you want to do? Like, do you want to go down? Because we don't really have any other options. We have to move forward at some point. And I just remember this like thing, and it was like, no, let's do it. And it was like, from that point, there was no stopping you. You were just like, I'm going to do this. And it was really amazing to watch, because seeing someone in a space of being almost paralyzed in a situation, to really digging deep and having to turn that around 180, it's really fucking inspiring, Julie. Like, watching you do that, I was just like, this girl is fucking rad. So I just want to really acknowledge you for that.
Thank you.
Yeah, because there's lots of people that would have thrown a tanty, probably told me to fuck off, and you know.
Did I not?
Probably. It just went over my head, though. I was like, okay.
No, I don't think I did. I was paralyzed to the side of that rock. But yeah, you just have to get on. You have to move. I had to move. You couldn't carry me. you had my backpack.
I had the pack.
And there was no man in a helicopter coming to get me off, and they didn't need to. We could do it, and we did it. And it was amazing when we finished.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cold and wet, but it was amazing.
I'm trying to think if we found a hot shower for afterwards or not. I know we
didn't. No, we went to the camping ground and they wouldn't let us use it.
Buggers.
Yeah. And then I was like, no, just get me changed and get me food. Just get me food.
Yeah, that adventure was like absolutely amazing. And the reason I guess I wanted you to share it is like, because there's your version of it, like for what was going on for you, and then there was what I was observing in you, and then also what I was observing in myself. And for me, even that, I think that trip has a real special kind of memory, because I got to the top and cried, because I was like, we made it. Like we did that together. So like, you did your part, I did mine, and together we got to the top. And it was just like this release of relief that we were able to get to the top. We were able to, when we got to the Cascades, they weren't any more flooded they weren't running any more differently than they were before. Yeah, and it's really interesting because when someone else is maybe a little bit challenged, there was a section on there that I'm not really great on ridge lines, and there was like a little ridge line between the two cascades, and one of the cascades came down and it sort of dropped off to a waterfall, and we had to cross it at the bottom, and it was actually a really good crossing point because the water hit and it pulled and it was very still there, so it was actually a really safe crossing point. But to get back up to the next cascade is you kind of had to hop up onto this really skinny ridge line that was like, here is safe, over the other side it's not really great to go over that side. So like I've got all my own fears running, and then Julie's like, I don't think I can do this, and I'm like, well, she can't and I don't think I can, this isn't gonna work. Like I'm like, I have to face my own fears and go, right, well, we're gonna do this. So yeah, and then I remember getting to the top of that, and then we both had a big cry. So.
We did. And then I remember getting to that very first part just before the car park where there was the slip that I thought was uncrossable, and I didn't even know that we'd crossed it. It was like,
isn't that interesting? Yeah. Yeah. Like what doing something that is more extreme, I can't quite think of the right language or the language that works, but like something that you first see is like daunting and huge, and then you go out and you do something that's like 50 times more daunting and huge, yeah. And then you come back to that thing and you're just like, oh, you every day.
Absolutely. Yeah. So that was probably one of the best adventures I've had. Yeah, the most challenging. Yeah, most challenging. Yeah,
you did good. It's pretty amazing. And so what else has been what else is on your adventure bucket list to do, or that you have done?
That I have done, I did the Spirited Women's Adventure Race, which was the first time I've ever done it, and that was last year. Missed out on this one, unfortunately, because they couldn't run it, so looking forward to next year. And that's just another one of those things. Hiking, yeah, great, I can hike all day, not a problem. Getting on a bike, not been on a bike since I was probably 12, let alone mountain bike, so I had to buy a bike and give that a good crack. And kayaking, which unfortunately I didn't get to do because I was a little bit sick. And so
that's right.
Yeah. But I did that race, and that was just so cool. I would never have thought in a million years I would have done a multidisciplinary race of any description. But it was so much fun, and can't wait to do another one, and maybe even ramp it up and do a longer distance. So the biking's been interesting.
I'm getting the feeling that there's a request to move up to the medium length.
Yeah, why not? Why not? Give it a nudge.
I've got an MC the next day.
It's all good. I'll help you through it.
Thanks.
Biking's been a huge challenge for me because when I'm on my 2 feet, I'm pretty good, but put wheels under me and that's a whole different story. So I've taken a couple of lessons to try and get some skills up. I don't have mad biking skills. I don't think I'll ever have mad biking skills. I'm really good at going over the bars. I've done that about 3 times now. Not damaged myself particularly, so that's quite good. But I do like a little bit of mountain biking now. I'm never going to be your girl who hurdles down the hill and all of that kind of stuff, but I love getting out and going to the forest. Rotorua, one of my happy places. So can't wait to get back to doing more of that. It's all been road biking at the moment, so yeah, can't wait to get out into the bush again. Yeah, what else am I looking forward to? I want to do all the great walks too.
Oh yes.
Yeah,
we've got a few more of them to cross off.
Yeah, a few more of those to cross off. So much to do. And I had a friend at one point and said, oh, why don't you want to travel the world and go and see all these exciting new places? And it's like, we've got cool places in our backyard that I've not seen, and I want to tick all those off before I even think about going anywhere else. Fortunately now we can't go anywhere else anyway, but New Zealand's got so much to offer, different terrain, different, I like going out into nature and seeing the different trees, and so the different plants between Auckland and the South Island, or, you know, it's just so different, and we're so lucky. I want to explore all of it.
Yeah. Amen to that. I mean, that's what, you know, that's what originally, that's what Adventure Girls stood for, and that thread has not shifted in moving into Why She Adventures, is that it's like New Zealand is such a beautiful place, and we have so much opportunity to explore our own backyard, and it gets you know, not forgotten about by everyone, but it definitely can get like miss the beautiful places that we've got. One of the great things about having an amazing adventure bestie like Julie, and I've got a couple of other ones, or Kimmy up in Auckland, and then I've got my South Island adventure besties as well, is that what we often do is at least 3 times a year as we get together, we make a plan on a trip, and we try to find somewhere that's outside of our regions, and head off and go and do some new stuff. So we have got we've done Wellington already together, the 3 of us, so that was a great trip. We did Mount Makuro, that was really awesome, in the Rimatakas. We just flew in with the great Air New Zealand prices when they had them, stayed the night and went and did that. That was a great walk. So, well, not a great walk, it was a great space walk.
Yeah, that was a really great time. I loved Wellington, and then we did Christchurch as well.
Yes, I've had
really
the
cool.
Yeah.
I can't remember the name of the waterfall we went to.
Washpen Falls.
Washpen Falls. That was an awesome walk.
Yeah, super casual, really laid back.
Really nice.
Yeah.
A little bit of rowing on the lake at the end.
Oh, ladies, we do. I wish we had, like, honestly, the things that we've done on our adventures, and not the trouble that we've gotten into, but the fun we have had has just been like that. I think is why everybody needs a couple of adventure besties. The girls that say yes when you go, hey, let's go and do this thing. When you find those girls that are, you know, like, that are into that and a fit, like, yeah, it changes. Well, for me, it's, you know, I don't want to say life-changing, but it just makes it so much more fun and so much easy to really go out and do those adventures.
It really is. And I like a good solo adventure as well, because
Yes.
I'll go out and do hikes by myself. I love it because it's where I regenerate and I think and I solve my world, you know, the world's problems, my own problems in my head as I'm walking. I never listen to music or anything when I'm hiking or walking. I just listen to nature and all the thoughts in my head. So I recollect and I love that time by myself. But when I go out with my adventure besties, it's a whole different experience. The conversations, I don't know that we solve the world troubles when we go walking, but we talk about so many different things, and it's just a really nice release to be able to get out with your girlfriends and enjoy each other's company. There's no airs and graces. You don't have to be a certain way. You just have to be you. You're accepted for who you are. It's just a great time. Everyone needs an adventure mate.
Couldn't have said it better.
Or 3.
definitely several. So
yeah, exactly.
So what would be, as we sort of start to wrap this up, a couple more questions. What would be 3 places that you would suggest to anyone who wants to go out there and do some store stuff? So what are 3 She Adventures must-dos in New Zealand?
Well, the must-dos from what I've done, Tongariro Crossing has to be the top of my list. Absolutely loved that. I'll go back and do it again. It's challenging, it's beautiful. It stretches you, and I just absolutely love that place. So absolutely number 1. Number 2, not necessarily a place, but go to a hut and stay overnight. What a cool experience. Just do it. I'm going to do so much more hut stay. And now we can.
Yes.
You know, they're all open again with the restrictions, but definitely going to do that again. So go to a hut and just give it a go. What would my 3rd place be? My favourite places? Favourite places or favourite activities?
Either.
If you're wanting just a day hike, go to Rangitoto if you're in Auckland.
Oh yeah, cool. Yes.
Really cool. There's all different ways that you can go up and down and around that place, and it's just beautiful, historical as well, with all the history behind it, with all the little houses in the community that used to be there. Really cool little ferry ride over. Really good place.
It's a great place. And I think I'm really often surprised with how many people live in Auckland who have not been over. And it blows my mind because it is just a ferry ride over. It's a great day trip. You can make it a half day or you can take a longer walk. And did you do the kayak one, the night kayak?
No, I didn't do the kayak, but that would be an awesome trip. Yeah. So I only went to Rangitoto for the first time, I think, last year. So,
wow.
And I'm in Auckland. I've lived in Auckland all my life. Yeah. Bar a
See what I mean?
Yeah.
Like 40, late 40s. And that's what blows my mind is that it's like we haven't, if we haven't even explored our really, really close stuff, let alone anything you have to get on a plane for or drive to further outside of New Zealand, and within the regions of New Zealand. So there is, like, when people say there's nothing to do, there's so much to do. And even though Auckland may not be like an adventure capital or have big mountains, there is a ton of stuff to do in Auckland. A ton.
Absolutely. It's all in your own backyard, I travel 45 minutes to go to Dome Valley, which is really cool to hike through there, or just go for a ferry ride to Rangitoto, or out to the Waitaks. It's all really accessible.
Yeah, 100%. So last question would be, what's one message? I love you take the big breath. What's this question, Senka? What's one message that you have for women who want to have more fun and adventure in their lives, but they're afraid of taking that first step?
Come for a walk with me. If you're in Auckland, hit me up. All good. Put your shoes on and go out the front door. You don't have to go out with a group of people if you don't want to, right? Just put your shoes on, go out the front door and start doing it. And every step you take gives you more courage, gives you more experience, and you're going to then go and find those people that you can go and do adventures off with, if that's what you choose to do.
I love it. I love it. I love that with every step you'll build more courage. It's just that's such a beautiful piece of advice.
So I used to, when I first started walking, when I was losing weight all those years ago, I'd walk every morning and every night, but I'd do it in the dark because I didn't want people to see me. And now I live a true life of colour. I probably wear the most colourful clothes most of the time when I'm out walking, and I don't mind being seen. Yeah. So let yourself be seen, get out there, get amongst it.
I love it. Beautiful words. Julie Brown, thank you so much for having shown up in my life 3 years ago when you had the courage to say yes to doing stand-up paddleboarding. Now that we are friends, my life feels a lot more fuller and richer for having you as a friend. It is really lovely. It's so nice to have somebody who's just as passionate about getting outdoors and doing stuff. So thank you for that. And also thank you for sharing your stories with all the women here of the Why She Adventures sisterhood. So I hope that any woman listening to what you've shared, the fact that your adventure started so much later in life, you've only really been getting into it for the last 3 years, which is not a long time for all the things that you've decided to pack in there. Now that you've made the decision that that's how it is for you. My hope is that anyone listening to this that needs to hear what they need to hear will hear what they have heard and realize that you can make so many shifts in your life. And for me, like I said at the start, it's the who you are now is really just a representation of you deciding for things to be different, and that in some ways doesn't have anything to do with your size, because it's more about the internal change that you've created for yourself on who you believe you are and what you're choosing to have in your life. So
Thank you, and thank you for the opportunity to do this with you as well, because from going to thinking, what do I have to offer in this sort of environment, in this scenario, to really then reflecting on what I have done, that's even helped me grow even more. So thank you for what you continue to do and what you continue to do for a lot of women.
Oh, totally my pleasure. So if you guys want to follow any of Julie Brown's stuff, you can follow her on Insta. Does that sound good? If people want to connect up with you?
Sure, send me private messages if you've got any questions or, you know, anything.
Yeah, so you can track her at Downtown J Brown, Downtown JB, sorry. I'll put the link to her Insta and you can connect in with that. And of course, Julie also hangs out with us in the Adventure Girls, Why She Adventures Sisterhood. Whew. Still get caught up on that. 20 years, it's hard to let that go. You can come and hang out with us at the Why She Adventures Sisterhood, which is a private Facebook community that's all about connecting women across New Zealand to get out and do some cool stuff. So you can come and access that, and the link will be with the video for that. So you can come and hang out and have a good time with us in there. All right, ladies. So here's to getting more women out doing cool shit, and I will see you in the next episode. See ya.
See ya.